This is Multimedia Plus online television news, and I am Fatmata Bintaba here with you. Hello and pleasant welcome. Our top stories for this edition. Fire incident engulfs 3 houses at Hagan Street, destroying millions of leones worth of properties. Councillor Radiatu Basha Sanko donates Veronica buckets to churches and mosques within Kisuwood and Mowaf communities. And pharmacist Manal Gazawi speaks on the causes, effects and prevention of hepatitis ahead of global observation of the day. These stories and many more you'll find on today's edition of our news broadcast. Stay with us. Welcome back. A fire incident has engulfed 3 apartment houses at Hagan Street around the magazine community. The cause of the incident has been attributed to improper or poor electrical wiring. All 3 houses were completely charred to the ground. My colleague Memesi Rebecca Kama was there and now reports.
The blaze began around 6 p.m. Only a handful of residents had returned from a day's hustle. Inspectors say the blaze was as a result of poor electrical wiring. Quickly, the inferno spread from the colonial structure where it began to the other 2 houses.
Really, this incident made this fire soon cause of electrical problem. Yeah, because the lights they get this on and off lights when it sustainable because it's all in pressure also. Then the other 2 we observe from all the investigation we do because electric, the cable where they can at this country, the substandard tubercle, the cable are not standard. So you find out so we get Chinese cable. If the lights go and you know able consumer, it will cause problem. That we experience. Really, when this fire take place, we get casualty, but no loss, no life. The people in the way get injuries and some man damage, some man get small sore, and we get lots of millions of properties that we will missing also. Because during the time when this fire take place, some man don't go find in there and living for make it get away for survive. You don't only survive and a phone and call some man. Some man are just to see no man on fire, they run, they come by, they say they come, everything unborn.
Properties worth millions of leones were disseminated. No casualty was recorded. But how did it happen? The incident, as with all other fire incidents, sent a chill down the spine of those who were directly involved. A mood of devastation swept across the community.
This house now all day, the terror people are also be born and then transfer we are. We don't live here more than 30 years, small now. They tell we don't be big woman soon. Before this fire they can pull we so now. I'm not lot speaking about my property there, I not pull none. Freezer me close there, my mama be the one place. My mama in box there. All nuts will not pull. All timber. Swear to God. So I know they for sleep right now. I saw they all nets, na do and na do they sit on that streets. They shop then they na do they all nets 10 money, so I know they for sleep. I saw that policeman and they meet me, the way they ask me, we say we all small. Right now, the coffee order going up from that gate, take candle. I saw no more they can then turn back. All nets, picking them more big one, them more the pad them, so they sit down. No get side for sleep, see no they for eat close, they no they for wear. Pass to good people and then the cow that can give you lapa, that can give this agbewa all web so na me padi na can give me there.
From the time of Odi, I was born from Kabialot, who can Mina Sofara. Okay, Boku picky there na. Boku picky there. Been get about 4 women there. They all don't dismantle from me because of property. Do you understand? So when this bush backbone and all the, and it's all in born.
A huge economic loss was suffered specifically at a time like this, when Corona keeps terrifying communities with the face of death. Energetic youths still scavenging through piles of debris, but all hope of locating a single unburnt object has faded.
To not be there, all go find money. It's when they say far, till we can not meet. So they help. Do a big, now help do the help for there and clear this door for long get in place. All right, how they suffer. We picking a boku. Pass to pass and catch. Not all man get safe side for catch. So now also they sleep. When they are rich, so pass to pray them back there will lay down. So all that are suffering. Go picking there. Now big, yeah. Pass to help we.
Fire accident. I been go Drake. Na pan Drake they call me pan phone. Then say the fire don't hit the house. By the time now, we me they come. I meet now all tune don't burn. Well, nothing not the way they do again. Well, nothing no pull. Well, look how the place they. Now they manage. You hear me? No sign no dey na. By this time now, this time they go. You see now what dirty? Well, now they manage.
Okay, sir. So there has been a cocktail of fire disaster in Freetown since the start of 2020. And now that the rains have begun, the situation could be worsened. Multimedia Plus Online Television, Memesi Rebecca Kamara reporting.
Councillor Adiatu Bashar Sanko of Constituency 122 has donated some Veronica buckets to churches and mosques within the Kisiwood, Fabe and Mowaf communities. Multimedia's Mohammed Bake Kamara was there and filing this report.
The reopening of mosques and churches across Sierra Leone, following that presidential decree, has come with a string of wash measures to ensure the prevention of COVID-19. As the fight against the virus progresses, the wearing of facial masks in public is now compulsory, not least churches and mosques of worship. Worshippers of both denominations are asked to stay few meters apart and the wearing of face mask compulsory.
Mosques, churches, members of the high table, all protocol observed.
God bless you.
I want to welcome Una to this wonderful occasion where I call Una for attend this morning. I call Una basically for things we get to do with the COVID-19. As we all know, we still get cases and we not get zero case status alone. So because of that, we see say the precautions them where we supposed to do for this COVID-19, we still get for continue for do them. Now, His Excellency President Biodo announced to me say the mosques and churches then get for open on Monday when at tomorrow. After I get this announcement, I see and fit say, because of we still get for wash we hands them, we still get for use soap and water, for use sanitizers them, the mosque and churches then get for need anything there so, for complement the efforts of His Excellency. I say let myself come on board and provide all the necessary things that we need for them precautions there. So as soon as I can see, these are the things that I don't carry it, for can present to Una the mosque and the church members them, for make we go see say we use them as how we supposed to use them.
Church and mosque authorities are asked to be stiff with the social distance measures and the wash facilities at their respective religious edifices.
Be a Christian, be a Muslim, because the day is like the location where they get for go to them, you say now you basically pass by for let you go do your hand washing. Because now the only way that one know for prevent yourself. For let yourself contribute and augment which the council or only. I hope say the one way they get for benefit from this, the mosques and the churches they will make good use of that. And let them go able to take good care, monitor them so that at the end of the day, they don't go where else go put their name, go be white elephant.
But how do we ensure a correct use of the facilities given? Positive COVID-19 cases appear to have been declining in recent weeks, but that does not indicate an end to the pandemic. Multimedia Plus Online Television. I am Mohammed Bake Kamara.
You're viewing content from the Multimedia Plus Online Television from our studio here at number 2 Campbell Street in Freetown. As we are still 2 weeks away from the 28th of July, which will be observed as World Hepatitis Day, gearing up to the day, a local pharmacist, Manal Ghazawi, has been organizing series of hepatitis awareness campaigns and sensitizations on the need for everyone to be tested for the disease. Multimedia's Eustace Victor Jones has been speaking to Manal Ghazawi.
Because of the COVID-19, every everything, all the awareness raising will be in the digital form. So it will be mostly social media campaign. For example, in collaboration with Eminence Africa, the No Hep Foundation has actually collaborated with them to do a display of flyers of celebrities or influential people in the country that will help raise awareness, because they will be able to post all these flyers having certain important information about hepatitis, and they will post it in their various social media platforms. We're mostly talking about the viral hepatitis. And we have viral hepatitis B and C, which are the most dangerous. But in Sierra Leone, we have mostly the hepatitis B more than hepatitis C. So this is a viral infection that will prevent with few recognizable symptoms initially at the acute stage. So some people will recover within less than 6 months, that is in the acute stage. Some will end up to develop the chronic stage, which is having the infection for more than 6 months. But among those having the chronic infection, only a small percent will have chronic active disease, that is the one that will lead to liver disease. There is a chance of recovery, as I mentioned, in the acute stage. There's a chance of recovery where the immune system will actually clear the virus in the body. In some cases, the immune system, as long as it's strong, the virus can still persist. In some cases or in some individuals, the virus will still persist for life. That's the type of virus, the hepatitis B virus. So during its persistence, it can either be in the form of the active stage or in the inactive stage. In the inactive stage, there are no symptoms. The patient will not present with symptoms, but might be able to become infectious. And the chronic active stage is where signs and symptoms are also similar to that of, for example, malaria or any infectious disease, presenting with fever, loss of appetite, joint pain, muscle pain, pain on the right side of the belly, upper side of the belly. Then you also have dark urine and very light colored stool. So the symptoms all depends to whether the liver also is affected or not, where you have starting to have symptoms of liver cirrhosis or chronic liver disease. So those are basically the signs and symptoms, and mostly they are mistaken on a clinical ground for that of malaria or typhoid, because in Sierra Leone lots of health professionals just administer drugs at the pharmacy, or nurses will do that, or even medical doctors will just treat for malaria or typhoid without doing prior diagnostic tests. So sometimes hepatitis B infection will be ruled out somehow, and the patient is being treated instead for malaria and typhoid, leaving out the treatment for hepatitis, or detecting hepatitis, that it might be as a result of hepatitis, having those mimicking signs and symptoms.
That was Multimedia's Eustace Victor Jones speaking there to pharmacist Manal Ghazawi. This is Multimedia Plus online television news. Fatmata Bintaba is the name. Still to come on the news. A string of flood disasters hits parts of Freetown following days of heavy downpour.
Production. Multimedia Plus, number one at the country. Multimedia Plus, beyond creativity, that now we mission. Multimedia Plus, we they bring to you so much quality. Multimedia Plus, number one, yeah. Quality video we there, photo shoot, voice over we there, jingle and soundtrack we there, documentary, podcast we there, market and sales, audio production sell we there. Don't forget to Napokana Multimedia Leash. Welcome to the land of creativity. Yeah, at the bongo bluff with the beauty. Yeah. If you see me photo, see quality. If you see me video, see quality. If you listen me music, see quality. You go feel say na magic. See quality. Number 2 come with 6 na the place. After sabi the customer the way.
There has been a string of flooding disasters in some parts of Freetown following days of heavy downpour. Mattresses were spotted afloat on violent streams of flood waters in the streets of the capital. Other properties worth millions were washed away by the downpour. Flooding is a seasonal disaster in Freetown. The Freetown City Council had earlier instituted a cleanest zone competition within communities in order to cultivate the culture of garbage clearing and safe disposal. But it seems much has not been achieved so far. Since history has a habit of repeating itself, many are speculating more violent floods in weeks to come.
2 days of sustained heavy downpour in Freetown left many gutters flooded, cars trapped in some streets, houses and properties washed away by violent flood waters, trees uprooted, leaving their trunks in the middle of streets. A massive rubble of mud residue in some areas prevented the flow of traffic. Flooding is no stranger to Freetown. It is a seasonal menace terrorizing many communities and households. Its effects are more popular in slums and poorly planned areas where there are narrow gutters.
I will tell you in the organization, the Sierra organization, then say, yes, we need help because yes, too much flood in the Ambogui Nayat, but although yes, you know, but we expect that any rain season. So we need help for this flooding, for help me for bank the gutters because of this year now. Wait to make this flooding can look slow because of this cleaning will become occur. So now we know they get too much dirty in the gutters them. So take and say now help we small.
Yeah, this we community really when they can be and they get flooding. We really they get flooding, then we really they suffer and this season we don't cancel. Now suffer next steady and season done. Because right now they don't cancel, the place need dry, the mass water, then you put them. So some of the one of them can get low place too much. Water can always go inside the house. So this not can done until the season done.
For clear the drainage no more. Because the last time the mayor with CRSM in Kaipui, then kept one that machine who can drain this water from but come take na the crocodile, take go na the sea. That year they will not begin no flooding. Last year, of course, we're not going to better flooding. And this year we hope say people in Wukana will see because they do a little best we able because the dirty they come not from Kube and they come up from up yonder than Kandra. On two then take out and on cut all na the mountains the gravel and the Kandra so they don't settle na the gutter them we water now you know that spread the spread. So now that need to cause the drainage. But if we able to get help, people in country help, we able to clear the drainage send our so we don't get problem with flooding.
His Excellency Julius Madabio, upon assuming office, declared a national cleaning on the first Saturday of every month. The Metropolitan Council had also introduced a cleanest zone competition among communities just so that the gutters remain clean and free from garbage.
The way how me they feel like me community, first time Kube to now, it don't be different. Now first time when they think and say where racists they come, all along they engage people and they punish and they suffer. But since that way, me don't promote myself after God. I saw the people that waiting the support for doing the Kube community. The leader, na middle class. You have developed my own place, and they call me people them, and they show them that make we are able stop where they not go able affect me. By then, when I tell the people that to watch me do, now the people and then they follow to what I do. If I say since when rain season come, I believe that this last rain here, now him able to affect some few houses them, not to all. Like first time where they beat say the people in the Kube, like where that rain they become. Majority of the Kube community they suffer under flooding. This rain at all. It not be this. Now few were there before. Why the reason why they able to get the flooding because of them they near the gutter and the draining of this community is poor. Government not able to make the draining according to.
At this stage, it seems all options of preventing flood disasters in Freetown are exhausted. How then could this menace be stopped?
A bigger plan that has to involve addressing some of these big issues around population of Freetown. How do we decentralize? How do we get other places so that people can, not every, so that you can actually begin to change the centrality of Freetown for everything, right? So we have to begin to think about how do we create other growth centers outside Freetown so more people can be able to locate and live in those areas, because for now our forests are going, people are building on top of the hills, people are clearing the mangroves, and we don't have enough space. So every runoff that comes down and creates flooding, and then from the coastal areas it's just a big mess. So I think the issue of flooding is complex, and it seems like every year we go through the same thing and then we talk about it and then it dies, and then the other year we get to have the same issue. But the flip side also is that in the rainy season we get a lot of rain, we get flooding. In the dry season we get everything dries up and we struggle for water again. So we have to then think about, in addition to the issue of flooding, is about water management. How do we manage water in Freetown? Because we have two extremities. One is flood, one is water stress without, of no water.
Amidst all of this, deforestation is continuing unabated, leaving the soil feeble to erosion and other disasters like mudslide and everstorms. Multimedia Plus Online Television, Memisi Rebecca Kamara reporting.
Let's now head for our usual health sensitization, even as we continue to take preventive measures to keeping ourselves from the corona pandemic.
There is a global outbreak of a new coronavirus disease that is rapidly spreading to a number of countries around the world. Common signs and symptoms include cough, fever, shortness of breath, and difficulty in breathing. In severe cases, complications include pneumonia, and kidney failure may occur and possibly leads to death if left untreated. Everyone is at risk of getting this disease. The virus is spread through droplets produced during coughing or sneezing by a sick person. You can get the disease if you are in close contact with a person who has the disease or infected animals and animal products. Travel to areas affected by the outbreak is a risk to getting infected. To protect yourself and others, wash your hands frequently with soap and water or use alcohol-based hand rubs. Cook your meat products and eggs thoroughly. If you are infected, prevent spreading the disease by covering your mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing with flexed elbow or tissue, and wash your hands immediately after. If you suspect that you or a member of your family or anybody has the coronavirus, you should immediately seek medical care at the nearest health facility.
With those health tips, we are wrapping up today's news broadcast here on Multimedia's online TV. But before we do, here is a round-off of the headlines. Fire incident engulfs 3 houses at Hagan Street, destroying millions of Leone's worth of properties. Councillor Radiatu Basha Sanko donates Veronica buckets to churches and mosques within Kisu Road and Mowaf communities. And pharmacist Manal Ghazawi speaks on the causes, effects and prevention of hepatitis ahead of global observation of the day. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Multimedia Plus Online Television for more updates, news broadcasts and programs and interviews. You can also reach us on Facebook at Multimedia Plus. Please visit, like and share our page in case you have not. I am Fatmata Bintaba. Until we meet again, tata.